Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Andrea. If you're new here and if you are returning, hi. Nice to see ya. I hope that you are doing well today. So, today I am going to be doing a review for Project Hail Mary because it was one of the books that I recently found out about and then wanted to read because the movie came out, and I went to a movie night at a friend's house and we watched the movie. So I wanted to read the book before watching the movie. I won't lie, I got about 25% of the way through, and then the movie night came about, and I said to myself, well, we're gonna go with the flow. So I watched the movie and then I finished the book. So I did it in a kind of funky order, but sometimes that's what happens in life. And I was actually really glad for the visual, but I'll get to this in a minute. So I will say that this video will have spoilers. I'm not going to just hint at things. I'm going to actually talk about my thoughts about the book, and therefore there will be spoilers. But first and foremost, before that, oh, I just shook my entire camera. Sorry. I have a couple shout outs. So, number one, thank you to my friend Mullai. She made me this beautiful bracelet. She made me this beautiful necklace. So, thank you so much to Mullai. It matches. It matches who I am, my favorite color. When she asked me what kind of, sorry. When she asked me what kind of necklace I wanted, I said that I wanted something magenta, and then she had this heart pattern. She weaves them, and so I was very excited when I found the magenta with the heart pattern. Makes me happy. All right, and then I want to give another shout out to my friend Christina, because she's all about supporting me in my YouTube endeavors. And so she went to Hawaii over the summer. We're both teachers. And she bought me 3 teas. I have one today, though. Local Boiz Hawaiian mixed tea, mana in every cup. And this one is Peachy N Makiki mixed tea. So it has Mamakai herbal tea. I'm sorry, I'm trying, but I might butcher it. Correct me. And then it has dehydrated peach and some other natural flavors. So thank you so much to Christina for thinking of me and buying me these amazing teas. I'm super excited to try it. I have a cup next to me, and I will definitely link the Local Boiz tea in the chat because I really like supporting small businesses, and so this makes me so happy. Okay, let's try it. That's delicious. That's so good. I love peach tea, and I love that the tea is still bitter. But not in a bad way, in a good way. I mean this as a compliment. You can still taste the tea, but then there's those other flavors in there, that peach flavor, but it's not an artificial peach flavor. It's an actual peach flavor, if that makes sense. So, you might have noticed my mug. I'm going to try not to cry. But if I cry, you know what? That's what's going to happen, because some things are worth crying about. So this says live, laugh, love, and then a middle finger to cancer. So I think it was maybe 5 years ago, I went to a local craft fair, and a young girl named Katie was there, and she was selling her wares. Katie, I don't know how many times she had fought cancer at that point, but she was a 4-time cancer fighter, and I'm not gonna cry. Sorry. Unfortunately, she did pass away. I think it was a year or 2 ago. I can't remember. It's blurry in my head, but her family still sells her wares. When she was getting her chemotherapy appointments or whatever appointments she was going to, she would make designs, and she also made stickers, hats, all sorts of things. So you can still get, this is a magnet, Um, you can still get her stickers, Karma's a cat, and her magnets. You could get this mug. She has all sorts of things. If anybody is in the Reno area, her shop that her family runs is at Uncle Junkie's at the Reno Public Market. And then you can also get it online. So if anybody lives outside of Reno, you can still get her merchandise online, and it all primarily, from what I understand, goes to supporting cancer awareness and then people with cancer, I think. So don't quote me on that. She has a whole website. Her family has a whole website for her. I will link her store. So if you want to support the cause that was very near and dear to her heart, then you can. Okay. Whew. Like I said, some things are worth crying for, and she was such a bright light, and she's one of them. So that's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I use this often, and it just reminds me to put kindness in the world, so like she did. So all right. Oh my goodness. We're gonna go on now. Thank you for listening to me talk about these products and my friend Katie. And so now we will transition to my thoughts. I did not script this out at all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just sat down and I said, I am really looking forward to filming this video. Let's just see what happens. So this is not scripted at all. Sometimes I script, sometimes I don't. This one, I'm just gonna talk about the things I loved. There was nothing I hated in this book. I really genuinely don't think I've truly quote unquote hated anything in a book before. There's only two books that I have had to put down, and there's only one book that I genuinely dislike the content that I've read in the past. But I am a person who just likes to take books as they are and find the joy in them, find the beauty in them. So this book I found a lot of joy in. It was an absolute pleasure to read it, and it had a perfect balance of keeping me on my toes, but then also being genuinely heartwarming. Like this book was so heartwarming, and I think one of the reasons it was that way for me is because I love characters. So I could watch a show or read a book or I don't know, like watch a play that has fantastic characters and not care so much about the plot as long as it has fantastic characters. This had the plot, the conflict down, and the characters down. So I cannot say enough good things about those three elements being in this book, because it's genuinely impressive that there was a conflict of astrophage. So it's a type of life that evolved, and it's eating our sun in this book. Soul is our sun. And so it's eating our sun, and the conflict is that a whole bunch of scientists and organizations on Earth are trying to band together to figure out how to save humanity, and not only humanity, but every species on Earth, because our sun is dying. I found that conflict to be incredible. Chef's kiss. How incredible. Simple. Something is eating the sun. Boom. Like, how simple is that, yet mind-blowing? That is such a good conflict. That is such a good conflict. It was well plotted. It moved along at a great pace. It had me at the edge of my seat. It had me yelling out. It made me laugh. And back to my earlier point, like I said, I didn't script this out, but back to my earlier point, a plot can be kind of loosey-goosey, if you will, and I'll still really like a book as long as it's character focused. Or a book can just be character focused, or, you know, a character in their mind focus, and I'll still love it as long as I like the characters, right? And that's not to put down books that don't have a strong plot or something. If the reason they're being written is character driven, they're just as important. So don't get me wrong on that. But in this book, I absolutely and utterly loved the friendship that came about between Grace and Rocky, and how these two beings, because one is human, one's Iridian, so how these two beings found themselves together and they have the same mission in mind. So for this book to take a dive into there being another being, another race out there, right? Another group. That's the right word. Group, not race, but group. Another group of people out there, the Iridians, to have another group out there is just, it's so fantastic. And then to watch them interact and figure out and fill in the gaps in each other's knowledge, and both have strengths that help them complete this mission, phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And I like that as a language teacher, this book really did point out some of the intricacies of language, and then it also questions some of our systems as well. Like, why do we have 24 hours, or why, why do we tell time this way when Iridians tell time this way? Or it was just really quite fascinating. I really like science, but I can't say that I understood all the science in that book, but that did not deter me, because even if I didn't understand it, it did explain what the calculations meant, which I was really grateful for, because, like I said, I find science to be fascinating, but that is not the field of study I went into. So half of the calculation, not half, that's a lie. Most of the calculations made no sense to me. I knew the basic concepts that were talked about in this book, but can I sit here and say I know physics? No, I don't. No. Am I going to know some concepts? Yes. So what Andy Weir did here is he gave the complex calculations, explanations, but then he also gave simpler ones, and I really liked that. I like that the book didn't end in a way that I was expecting, and that genuinely made me happy, because I was really fearful of what's gonna happen, is he gonna survive, because he was sent on a suicide mission, right? And so the fact that there was hope in the literal darkness of big vast space made all the difference for me. I like that this was a hopeful story. I like that it ended not in tragedy, but in a new reality of living. I think I would have been really upset if he died. Yes, he saved humanity, but I was rooting for him. So to have that hope and then that happy ending, if you will, was fantastic. But it was also, I want to point this out, it was also the Pixar theory, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it was a Pixar happy ending. So it's not what you expect, but there is a resolution that fits what we want, so that happy ending. So no, he does not end up back in Earth. He does not get to see the results of him figuring out how to kill Astrophage and figuring out how to save humanity. He doesn't get to see that, but at the very end of the book, the Iridians tell him, yes, this did happen, you did save the Earth. So he doesn't know exactly who he saved or how much of humanity he saved, but he knows he solved the problem at the end, and he is able to live. He's able to live on Rocky's planet, and he's able to have a life. And so that Pixar style of having an ending, just not what you expect, was fantastic for me. I really, really liked that. The other thing that I like is that the story starts off. So let me flip to it. Let me give the example for you. Oh, and then I like that he included a drawing and stuff, because I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. Oh, I actually should have looked at this more when I was reading the book, because this literally shows how this happened. We're going to ignore that now. So I like that when we start off the book, it starts with, what's 2 plus 2? You're like, what? Starting off a book, this is something I talk about in creative writing. Starting off a book or a piece is monumentally important. It's so important because it can capture the audience or lose them immediately. So how a person starts out a book or a short story or a song, whatever it may be, is incredibly important. So I was sitting here, what do you mean what's 2 plus 2? Boom, hooked. Chef's kiss. So if you were to start with, oh, I was, in space and looking around. Okay, and? Right? But if you start out with this question, this hook of, what's 2 plus 2? And you're like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? Like, why are we asking this? Where are we in time? Why are we in time? What's the conflict? Now I'm asking myself all these questions, and even though I'm verbalizing the questions that I have in my mind, most people, their brains just run through it. And they don't even realize they're doing it. This is something I tell my students is like, you have all these questions now. It's just, we're not used to bringing those to the forefront of our mind and verbalizing our immediate reaction to things. But as a teacher, that's something I have to do all the time, right? And a thinker. So like a thinker of educational pedagogy, that is. Like, isn't everybody a thinker? Yes. So then the book goes on, something about the question irritates me. I'm tired, I drift back to sleep. I like that when we begin this book, we know as much as Grace does, Ryland Grace, that's his name. But we know just as much as Grace does. Okay, so we're not dipping into the category of dramatic irony yet, because we know the exact same amount as he does. And then throughout the book, we are figuring out the reason why he's here, the problem he needs to solve, and then as problems come along, we're seeing how he solves it. We get to think about how we would solve it. And I think that's a really great approach to this book, because it takes place in the frontier of space. So we get to fill in the gaps of what we think that would look like. And then we get to find out and make discoveries alongside of Grace. And we get to find out what's happening, I should say, and then make discoveries along with him. And I really, really, really liked that. It made sense to me, and I think it was the right way to comprise this story. I think that the way it was written fits the type of story that it is. And I think that's really, really important. And I've talked about this before. When I talked about Taylor Jenkins Reid, she also does this. She says, what model will fit my story best? And then she changes up the model. Ruta Sapatis does this too. And so in this novel, Andy very much did that. Andy Weir very much, I think he really truly thought about how to present this story. And he even talked about in the acknowledgments that he went over plot points and over and over and over again with some of the people that helped him with this book. And it really shows. It's a fully fleshed out concept. There's nothing that I'm left wondering about except for what he wants me to wonder about, which is, does Grace choose to go back to Earth or not? Because Rocky says that the Council of Iridians figured out how to get him back to Earth. So he has to now choose if he's going to stay on Rocky's planet or if he's going to go back to Earth. And I think that I would love to have an answer for it, but I also kind of like that I don't have the answer, because I don't think we need to have every answer within the universe and within a story. I think some can be left up to interpretation, but that might drive some people nuts. Part of me, I'm thinking, I want to know. So I understand if anybody didn't like that piece. I liked the cast of characters on Earth as well. But the really big triumph of this book is between Grace and Rocky, their relationship. I just truly loved it. And I've even found myself, I wrote this in my review on Goodreads, and on, what's the other one? Shoot. Because I post on two, Storygraph. Yeah, Storygraph. So I wrote this on Goodreads and Storygraph that I am finding myself saying, yes, or just like Rocky. It's so endearing to me. It's, I love it. I love Rocky. I love Rocky so much. That being said, I do want to talk about the film. I think it was very, very well made. I like that they stuck to this book 90%. They changed a couple of changes. What am I talking about? They changed a couple of things in the movie, but it made sense why they made those changes. Like in the huge conflict, maybe not conflict, but in one of the huge plot points of this book, they're trying to extract the what is it called? Why am I forgetting it? Because there's astrophage and then Talmiba. That's what it is. Okay, so they're trying to extract Talmiba actually from it's Sentai Tau, right? Very sciencey. I love it. But they're trying to, so they being Grace and Rocky are trying to get Talmiba samples from the planet that is not being affected from astrophage, and they figure out that it's not being affected because there's life there, which they name Talmiba, right? I think it's Senti Tau. Is that what it's called? Like I said, I didn't script this because I just wanted to see kind of what happened and what came about. There's so much science in this book. Oh my gosh, there's so much. Let me go back over here. It'll come to me. But Tau Ceti. There we go. Tau Ceti. So that's the planet that they went to, both Grace and Rocky, because Tau Ceti is not being affected by astrophage like Earth and then Iridini is. Did I say that right? Iridini? To see the names. I love the name, but it takes a minute to get the names. Let's see. Let me see. I always like to fact check myself with names because I don't want to like get them wrong and then later on say, oh man, I said that all wrong. Okay, let's see. Oh, I also liked that Rocky is such a builder, and then in the movie there's a part, it's funny because Grace is like, I'm never alone. So anyways, what I was talking about, I'll just call it Rocky's Planet because I couldn't find it. But so back to my original point. I know we took kind of a tangent. Thanks for bearing with me. But they find life on Tau Ceti, and then they figure out that this Talmiba is the solution, and it's why the planet has not died yet or was not dimming. And so in that part of the movie, Rocky saves Grace, but in the book, Grace puts Rocky back in his side of the spaceship because they don't breathe the same air because Rocky needs ammonia, and then obviously Grace, human, no go, right, at that, and not so much pressure. And so that is different in the movie than from the book. So in the book, Grace is kind of the hero in that scene, but in the movie, Rocky is. But honestly, I like that Rocky, saves Grace. And either way, they're putting the rest of their planet at risk by helping each other. And I just love the friendship and the love that's formed throughout this book. I know that was kind of a tangent, but it's fine because I didn't script this, and it's just about my honest thoughts. Was there something else I wanted to mention? I like the movie just as much as I like the book, and I really like that I'm able to see Rocky and I'm able to, in the movie, see their interaction. I think this was the perfect book to make into a movie, and Ryan Gosling did a phenomenal job, because if you think about it, someone said this to me, this is not my original thought, but if you think about it, he filmed this whole movie basically alone where he's like in the spaceship and then talking to Rocky. That was all CGI, but it was done really, really well, and I just love it. I do think that it helps to read the book before watching the movie, because there are, like I said, a few things that are left out. And then at first, you're like, wait, what's happening? I don't understand. And what's the conflict? And that's meant to be, right? That's meant to be because we're finding out information alongside of Grace because he has amnesia from being in a coma. And the movie doesn't really explain that. So he's one of the humans that is coma resistant, and it's explained in the book that it's a gene, but then in the movie that's not really explained. So because I read the book, at least 25% of it, I was able to explain to my friends that the reason why they didn't just get someone else and Grace was forced to go on this mission is because he had the gene that made him resistant to dying during a coma. And it talks about the science of this. I don't know if that's science in the real world. Like I said, the science field is not the field I work in. I work in teaching, and so I don't know if those were real studies. So if someone knows, let me know. And another thing is, I love that he's a teacher, because it was just like a big warm hug for all the teachers out there, and the fact that we're out here trying to make a difference, we're just trying to have students be curious. At least I am. I'll speak for myself. I just want my students to be curious about things. Whatever, like a panda, or I don't know, mac and cheese. Just be curious about it. I don't know. Be curious about an idiom. Be curious about space. I don't know. Just be curious, man. So that's kind of my philosophy. Yes, but I loved the way this book was set up. I tried to read The Martian. It's on here, author of The Martian. I tried to read it in the past and couldn't really get into it, but now that I've read this, I think I can go back and then read The Martian and watch the movie, because I'm really interested in Andy's work here. Was I talking about something else? I think I was just talking about how the movie is just as good as the book, but read the book first so that you have some context for the movie. I think that is helpful. Yeah, is really helpful. What else? Is there anything else? Oh, okay. Okay, so I said earlier that I never say I hate books or hate anything, but I did think one part was strange, but it does call it out. So I want to say this, but he doesn't have much to eat from Rocky's planet, so he's running out of food, and that's one of the conflicts in the book too, is can he make it back to Earth with the food he has, because he was sent on a suicide mission. He was not expected to be able to come back, And so they only gave him the food that he would need. So when he gets to Rocky's planet, they spend years trying to make him better food because they're able to give him vitamins and whatever, but they eat differently, and that's a whole thing in the book is eating. And then also, like, you're not supposed to watch other people eat, like other of Rocky species. Like you're not supposed to watch them eat because it's, like Rocky says, disgusting. But you have to watch the other Iridae. Now I'm forgetting it. See, I've said it too many times. But you're supposed to watch your fellow people sleep. And so that's one of the things that is really endearing in this book. But my whole point of this is that there are me burgers. They're called me burgers. So they took Grace's DNA on Iridae. I'm going to call it Iridae. Someone fact check me. Because I couldn't find it in the book. I'll scroll. So on Iridae, they make him me burgers. So it's his DNA he's eating. And he's like, they're delicious and I have one every day. So it's not like his actual flesh, or whatever. It's like it made in a lab. But I just was like, oh God, why? That's so disturbing. That's so disturbing. Anyways, that was really loud. Sorry. If you're wearing headphones, your ears just got blasted by my screech. But I feel like it was justified to screech like that. Anyways, yes, that was the only part where I was like, oh God, why? But overall, this is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. This is a 5-star read for me. It was imaginative. Like I said, I love the friendship. Just like friendship-wise alone, that's what I meant to say. 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Loved it. So if anybody here likes science fiction and has a desire to read a book that has a really strong duo and strong friendship, this is the one for you. So yes, why can't I find this? Tell me, ba. Iridian. But that's not the planet. But that's what Rocky is. He's Iridian. Oh, it's arid. What was I saying? Iridae? It's the planet I think is called, it's arid. Just ignore. I said Iridae. Where did I get that from? Dyslexia is fun. Anyways, okay, I actually think that's really cute that I couldn't remember, so we're just going to leave it in. Like I said, did not edit this. But yes, so they're trying to save Earth and Arid, and I like at the end of the day that they save both planets. And then it also begs the question of what else is out there, and did it evolve from something similar to us, something different? I just like that concept. So whatever you believe is what you believe, which is totally fine. But I like questioning. Just like, could this have happened? I think that's really fun. Anyways, thank you for listening to my thoughts and for having a good laugh that I couldn't remember the planet was arid. Thank you for listening to me talk about both Katie and then Local Boiz. Please support them if you are in a position to. If you're not, though, totally fine. No judgment here. If you have read Project Hail Mary or if you have watched the movie, please let me know. This was a longer video, so let me know if you liked the longer video. I try to have some short ones, some long ones. If I left anything out, I tried to hit all the major points that I thought when I read the book. I tried to recall them and bring them to the forefront and then, say them in this review. But if I left anything out that you think is important to mention, please let me know. Yes. thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video if you have. And I hope to see you in the next one. Also, thank you for your patience with me with posting. I've decided to post Sundays because I'm back in school now. I'm sorry, I have the hiccups. Oh my goodness. So I've decided to post Sundays since I'm back in school. And so my Wednesdays and my weeks will be super busy, but this will be fun. Filming, that is. Filming will be fun on the weekends. And then, so I'll post on Sundays. And then maybe some Wednesdays here and there. And then thank you for being patient with me because I did not post last week. I had to travel for work and it just worked out with my schedule that I did not have time to film a video, and I didn't want to put out something that wasn't that was rushed or that wasn't to the caliber that I want it to be. And I want this to be really casual and friendly and just us having a conversation. So thank you for your patience with me. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to end the video there. Please make sure to comment if you have watched this movie, read the book, or if it's on your TBR. All right, I will see you very soon. Bye, everybody. See you soon. Bye.